Good afternoon slash evening, whatever time it is to all of you guys. We are joining up for the Xbox All-Star event, kind of a nice little postseason run that we've got a few cars getting loaded into, and we're going to start off with a couple of little quali races, and we are starting it off with a quick one-shot qualifier, so we'll bring that up on screen. So everybody's getting loaded in now, but the way that the event is going to work is the main race will come after these couple quali events. We are going to be doing the main race in Monaco, a 50% race there. The top 6 in the championship is going to automatically qualify. Everybody's in a custom multiplayer car, so you can check out their own flares. And these 2 qualifying races for people who are outside of that top 6 wanting to get in are going to take the top 2, so the winners of both of those quali races and the best overall average. I do have with me today Mr. Tom Mack. Yeah. Ooh. Kev has apparently gone straight on there. But yeah, we are running the 2 short courses. We're doing a short run of Bahrain and a short run of Silverstone for the qualifying races. Only 25% distances, so they get over nice and quick. Some tightly packed action. Only a couple of cars on those smaller grids there. But we will take those winners on into the final race, and apparently nobody particularly qualifying well. We are going to be running flipped grids when it comes to the second part of it. So take the first grid for the first short race, and then we move on, flip that grid over. And when we get to the main event, another kind of reverse grid based on the championship order. So the other cars that are taking part in that will have MJ Povey, of course, the champion of the season. Fast 6 driver, Gallimums, should have Voki, Racer04, and QX Nemesis. So we may also see the appearance of Kareem back from the PC division, as he has earned himself entry by being last year's All-Star race winner. But it's nice having another console driver alongside with me and a champion in his own right. So how was it over on the PC division, or not PC, PS4 division for you out there, Tom? Getting held, and now the lights are out. We're skipping the normal formation lap that we see here. We'll jump in and see who gets the good run into turn 1 there. Obviously only 14 laps on this 25% distance, as Kem and Gloverino going side by side into turn 1 there. Habs fan Nick, though, getting a really good jump and then really shortening that quick little run, tightening off the corner. A little bit of contact coming into there, but with the 25% races, only 1 pit stop required, so strategy not going to be a huge factor. It's soft to medium no matter what, we're going to go there. Yeah, it's a really good point, because normally in the season we're running the regular F1 cars, but on a equal footing. But the way that those cars behave is not the same as the multiplayer car. There's a little bit of a difference in the quality and the way that they drive. But looks like so far 2 laps in, no DRS available just yet. The field is still fairly tightly bunched up, so we should have some good racing coming through there. Really brought it quite a ways down that back straight there. Cubs fan Nick, get out in the lead. Well, Ken sat out a lot of the season coming in. He really only joined us for the last few races. We're saying that we can't hear you, so I'm going to see what I can fiddle and bring you back online here for just a moment, as they're still tooling around lap 3. Shoot. You said you had heard yourself on there before, so I'm not sure why now you're okay, let's give it another try. It's on the
Can you hear me?
Hey, now I see your waveform popping up on the spikes there, so appreciate that, Tom.
No problem. I'm sure I've done that a couple of seasons during PC at some point this year with the live stream. It's such hard work.
Appreciate the heads up, Zell. Definitely helpful. We're streaming from obviously capturing Xbox. First time we've had it on available there, so technical glitches. Luckily, getting them done in the early stages here. It looks though like Habs fan Nick opening up a good bit of a lead, so looking to put himself in a pretty good position for making his way through the final race. Last season we ran a similar event in a similar fashion, and we had a couple of drivers that had big early leads, but as you were saying, with the change to the multiplayer car being different from the equal performance F1, it caught out a couple of drivers, and big leads quickly turned into runs back from the rear of the grid. You're trying to catch up in this short format. But it looks like AWD Turbo Guy is going to be the first one to make his mandatory pit stop coming in.
Indeed. AWD finishing 18th in the Xbox Division 1 League. I've got the table up now, and I suppose if no one could hear me for the start of that, I should reintroduce myself, and I should say I'm going to try and give a recap of what I would have said. So, yep, champion of PS4. Yes, it was very interesting, and I keep on getting caught out by the fact that they turn right after they turn through.
It's
but
one
yeah,
of those,
so we've got.
We kind of wish that they had added the Bahrain outer. Would have been an interesting race to have back as opposed to the short. But understandable technical limitations and just the short time frame for getting those done, especially with AI differences. But it looks like El Gloverino, as Kem was just closing into DRS range, is going to dive in and grab himself a new set of tires. But a couple of penalties on the cars, and if you're not able to open up a huge gap, might be a situation where you could lose your opportunity for entry into the main event.
Indeed. So remind me, is it the top two from this?
So the way that we'll be placing is 3 total drivers from the qualifying races. We will take the winners of each qualifying event, short race, and then the driver with the best finishing average. So if you got somebody who wins but then comes P4, the person who could come P2 in both races still going to show up and have the opportunity to join in. Obviously, I'm not taking part in the actual race itself. I did qualify by virtue of being 4th in the championship, but I decided to don the broadcaster's hat once again and spent some time out of the car and wanted to bring it live to everybody. So glad to have you joining me, Tom.
It's about time that we got some other divisions on the channel. Obviously, we've been running Div 1, 2, and 3 pretty consistently this season. And obviously, due to the time the divisions run, we can't have every division showing at the same time. But with more interest, more players joining, people becoming more comfortable with getting their streams shown, we'll be able to get more on this channel, which will be good. We managed to get our first little Twitch payout this week, which of course is going to go into helping the league put some ideas that maybe need a little bit of funding together and to help out some guys falling into financial difficulties or when the new games come out. It's really what it's all about. So for everyone who's been so generous in Twitch priming and all the rest of it this season, that's what that's going to. And also massive thanks to you, Quimbulus, for being on the broadcast for Div 1 all season. It's been quite wicked, really, with Division 1 this year.
Yeah, it's been a cracking season for them. Obviously, going down to the wire, technical glitches aside in the first Brazil finish, which we will not go too much into detail. But yeah, I definitely want to echo Tom's thoughts, and big thanks to all the viewers that join us on the Twitch streams and all the people that are subbed through Twitch Prime and all that. And it's really great to have the kind of support for the league and to help it keep growing. And like Tom said, we're going to reinvest that directly into the league. I know we had a driver who was unable to initially get the 2020 game, but was able to join the grid later as members of the community pitched in to get them back on the grid. So definitely a nice community we've got going here. Really glad to have been a part of it from season 1.
Yeah, likewise from the start of season 2 for me. And I'm trying to think of something to say related to the race, but of course I feel like my role here is to discuss strategy and to discuss everything that the colour broadcaster would bring, and I can't think of anything to say because I've not got a clue what the strategies are. All I know is that we're on lap 8 out of 14, Habs is in the lead and pitted on the last lap, and everyone is pretty much bunched together. There are a couple of 3-second time penalties from Kem and AWD, and those will be quite punishing, especially for Kem, who at the moment that will see him drop behind El Glavarino, who is quite quickly making up the back of Kem, pretty easily getting them all through. So Kem finished 3 races, only completed 3 races, in 8th, 13th and 6th this season. El Glavarino in Ferrari, I believe, completed nearly every race this season, finishing 13th.
Yeah, El Glavarino has showed very good pace throughout the year, especially in qualifying. Had a massive P5 on the grid in Brazil, so he's definitely got the raw outright pace. It's just a matter of stringing it together and avoiding incidents during the race, learning that bit of extra racecraft as opposed to the pace. El Glavarino, another addition for season 2, so a rookie to the league this season, so definitely getting his footing around. And in these short races, this stream is going to be a little more casual than our usual Division 1 streams that are super hyper realistic. Obviously, pulling from the Xbox and capturing through there. We don't have Tom's wonderful overlays and graphics that make it look like a real F1 race. And we're just kind of taking today as an opportunity to kind of celebrate, another season of the league being completed and, relax and have a good time together.
Definitely, and obviously the preparations for season 3 starting as to what gets changed. We had a few issues with regarding lobbies and working around the game itself in season 2, and finding ways to fix that and better prepare ourselves for any of those eventualities in season 3 is going to be a big part of it. Make sure it's fair, consistent all across the board. I don't know what the issues have been like on Xbox, but I know in PS4 we had some lobby restarts and remakes and all the rest of it. So now is obviously the chance for those who are involved in the league from season 1 and 2, and maybe people new looking to join as soon as possible. Get your thoughts in. Maybe if you've been watching this season but haven't joined yet, give us some ideas on what we can do better this season, because this is the time for us to make changes.
Absolutely, and changes and ideas come from all over the league's Discord. So you join the league, you get entry into that Discord group, and everybody's got an equal voice there. We've made some decent expansions to our stewarding crew over the last season, and are looking at opening up some other avenues and ways to better, I wouldn't say police the league, but in a way police the league and help make the racing better overall. It looks like El Glavarino, though, just kind of falling outside of that 1 second mark for a moment. Looks like he used quite a bit of overtake to get himself back down the straight. This is the closest battle on track, but definitely taking a look at the calendar is the tracks will change, a few of them here and there, and your favorites I'm sure will stick around, but we'll see some tracks drop on and drop off throughout the season. And we're definitely always looking for more people to join in. The more racers we're able to get ahead, the bigger the community we've got, the more we're able to slot and make more divisions there to make the racing tighter and more competitive. And it's a great community to be a part of, and it's expanding pretty quickly. It's been lovely to see so far.
Absolutely. Yeah, it looked a few laps ago like El Glavarino was almost destined to pass Kem at some point, but he's dropped back a little bit. Oh, and there it is. Kem's had a spin, I think, and that is not good for his race because he's already got a 3-second time penalty, although I've just seen El Glavarino's picked one up as well. He'll fall to the back now. Kem, but is within closing distance, and well, actually I say that 2 laps to go. One thing I was going to say before Kem decided to spin was that El Glavarino has completely rammed his overtake down to the bottom, will be derating nearly every lap, and that is probably one of the contributing factors to him losing time to Kem, but that no longer matters because he was right down the bottom of the order. But looking at the time penalties on AWD, it seems like he will get promoted no matter his on-track position.
AWD's picking up a lot of penalties now. He's took the Johnny Herbert line through turn 1 there, it would appear, picking up another 10 seconds as famous F1 driver Johnny Herbert in the virtual GPs last spring rather famously decided to jump the start and cut turn 1 altogether and be right in the lead of that virtual GP. It eventually came back to bite him, but was entertaining to see at the time nonetheless.
Very entertaining. Yeah. Those virtual F1 races, for criticisms that they may get, they really were fabulous entertainment for while they were around, and actually inspired a lot of the decisions that I made broadcast for the PC division when I decided to do the broadcasting here for the RF1 Racing League. In the same way that the esports has as well, I have to say I don't watch F1 esports. I don't really watch any sort of sim racing esports. But after the F1 sort of got cancelled in Australia really unceremoniously, and I was craving a bit of sport and a bit of, seeing as everything else was not running, the football and all the rest of it, esports and sim racing was certainly the thing to watch, and that inspired a lot of broadcasting that went on for this season. As we're now on the last lap, we are watching the leader, Habs Van Nick, with I want to say Ferrari inspired. It's a little brighter red, no sponsors, a very clean looking car. Perhaps expecting a little bit more outrageous designs, but that's very simple, very nice indeed.
If I remember correctly, Habs Van Nick went with that same kind of classic all red Ferrari look in the last All-Star race. But as you were saying with the virtual GPs, it honestly kind of in a way inspired this league. AW guy is disqualified coming out of the last quarter for picking up time penalties.
I have to say, after seeing the way he was taking turn 1 and 2, I did wonder whether it was somewhat intentional, and because that is quite a lot of penalties to rack up on the short circuit of Bahrain. I have to say, it is quite tough to get disqualified from, even with strict corner cutting rules, but he's done a good job there, I'd say, with that. Quite an achievement.
Yeah, absolutely, and it looks like I'm getting word from the Xbox division coordinator MJ Povey here that looks like we will be taking all 4 of these drivers to fill it out and are using this qualifying race as the grid order setter. So as I was saying, we're running a reverse championship order. So starting from the back, you have MJ Povey, Fast 6, Gali, Voki, Racer 04, QX Nemesis, and then the qualifying drivers who will be moved up to the front of the grid. So it looks like Habs Van Nick should be starting on pole. But as we do in Xbox, not everybody's terribly on time all the time, and we make some on-the-fly adjustments to bring you the best racing that we possibly can.
Well, we've got the track for it, really. Monaco isn't really the sort of circuit you need to practice much for. It's a nice wide open circuit, plenty of lines to take, so it should be interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think I don't remember exactly where the voting landed in the Discord channel, but I think we might be running the reduced damage model for Monaco. So still the opportunity for people to take damage and crash out, but not quite full simulation. So we'll see. I think the overlying guess in the Discord channel was 3 safety cars, perhaps. So we'll have to see how quickly people can get around the track And of course, Monaco is an interesting track to be running a reverse grid on.
Indeed, it makes it even more harder for the guys who we would expect to be the fastest. But Monaco isn't a track that's been involved in the calendar, so for a lot of these guys who don't perhaps race in single player or don't play the game much outside of the league like myself, it's not a track that you would have practiced much. So, would they have taken it upon themselves this week to practice? I don't know. Or whether they're just going to step into this and just hope that their natural ability takes over and kicks in and is enough for them. But I mean, they're going to have to maybe make some interesting strategy calls as to whether or not that's how they want to get their overtaking done in this one.
Yeah, absolutely. And I did see that there was some practice events going on throughout the week, getting loaded up for that. But you will see how many people. I mean, it is a couple weeks after the season finale, so I'm sure a lot of people, myself included, have kind of taken a little bit of time out of the cockpit to relax a bit. And coming back into the car is a definite change. And Monaco is quite a tall order.
Hell of a track to come back to, isn't it?
Absolutely.
I mean, it's in the same way that everyone was a little bit concerned about the drivers in real F1 coming back to such a high-speed track like Austria after the lockdown. And for all intents and purposes, I get the impression that not a lot of us here are the ultimate specimen of athletic ability, and so it's going to be extra hard for us to step back into the cockpit after at least a week and a half of not racing, and to do it at Monaco. So really, these guys should be getting a lot of credit for this physical achievement that they'll be pulling off today.
Yeah, we won't have to deal with all the G-forces that real F1 drivers had to deal with coming back to the middle sector of Austria, where you're pulling 4 or 5 Gs laterally and really straining your neck. I mean, there's no way to imitate that. There's no way to really train for that aside from doing the Daniel Ricciardo and laying on your side on a couch and hanging a weight off your head. But it looks like we're getting ready to head up. We had Alejandro Hayes now join onto the grid here, so we are doing the second short race at Great Britain to finalize that starting order. So we'll have another quick little short one coming in, and I just want to take a moment while the grid's getting loaded up to recognize some of the champions throughout the league in PC Division 1. We had Silver Arrow take the top spot, K-O-Matic P3, and Frazier in P3 there. And the Constructors champions were Mercedes there, Silver Arrow and Lazzo combining for the top spot in the Constructors championship there.
What a massive season for Silver Arrow, really. Kato dominated the start. He was odds-on favourite all the way through, and then a couple of bad races for him at the end, and of course the Brazil debacle with internet connection and so what, an extra round getting added on, getting it done, and consistency paid off for him in the end, and that's something that I can echo in my own championship fight, was consistency really does win championships.
Yeah, and absolutely. It was definitely a treat to be able to be on the commentary team for that PC Division 1, but the division I wasn't really a part of. Didn't get a chance to see much of the PC2 or PC3 championships there, but as the Xbox race is about to get started, we'll flip that over, but we'll come back to the PC2 and PC3 champions between the races here. But looks like as the lights are coming up, we've got 5 red lights on and lights are out and away we go. And it looks like Kem getting a big wheel spin off the line there, or is that AWD Turbo guy at the back there? But coming in, real short run. You basically go through Abbey, through turns 2, and then make a hard right. Unfortunately, you kind of skip some of the most famous corners. Copse, Maggots, Beckett's. Kind of run straight through them here in this Britain short, but everybody trying to figure out the line early on before they head down the hanger straight.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a shame because those best corners configuration that works, and it still allows for plenty of good racing. It's essentially 3 nice long straights, and as you can see there, the battle into the final chicane of the lap, and plenty of curb being taken on the inside, so they get 3 wide into the braking zone, but Alejandro comes out on top. Kem in second place, recovering from the poor start that he made. AWD as well, not making the greatest of starts. He drops to the back of the grid, and Alejandro dropping back to Kem there, it seems, and there's a nice big battle into the heavy braking zone here, and the Haas lookalike of El Gloverino, is going to swing it around the outside as the line changes and hands him the opportunity to get onto the back straight in the lead of this race. But you can see plenty of defending and a bit of weaving there in the We Races 1 livery for Alejandro. He's dropped back to 4th after initially leading this race.
Yeah, plenty of side-by-side racing available, and obviously you see Habs fan Nick there taking the win in the first qualifying racer, so he's got a pass into the All-Star event already, but he still wants to finish as well as he can, because the better he finishes here, the better average finish he has over these 2 races is going to dictate his starting position on the grid.
Very smart indeed. Sector 1, I believe. That is so very confusing looking at that mini-map for Sunday. It's a completely different world, these short races, kind of wrapping around what corners are going to use. This track is, I think, much better than the Bahrain one, because it is going to allow for cars to follow each other a little bit easier. And as you can see, the top 3 guys are holding on to each other. The heavier braking zones, especially in this last part, are going to keep them nice and bunched up.
Yeah, and even though it has a DRS zone down the hanger straight there, you kind of have to drive it like an old school F1 race. You need to set your move up a couple corners in advance, because DRS zone is pretty short, and you're coming out of it at much lower speed than you normally would after coming through Maggots and Beckett's. This right-hander, you're really much slower getting onto this back straight than you normally would be, so the DRS isn't quite as powerful to make that move. So really getting in the right positions and set up to make a good move is important, as El Gloverino getting right up the back of Kem there, but a little bit of a touch, and that's going to allow Habs Nick to slot his way through into the Vale chicane.
It's fair enough, isn't it, really? A little tap just to let them know you're there, and then straight through up the inside. They round for of this race. Kem with a 3-second time penalty already, same as AWD, although judging on his performance in the last race, I would bet that maybe that's a couple more than just 3 seconds. He is currently a second off the back of Alejandro, and great looking car, that all black livery, I think, with a little bit of gold trim, or is that all black?
All black with
nice
the
car,
nice yellow T-cam up there.
Indeed. Yeah, it was good fun today actually. I started a little night team save, getting used to these multiplayer cars for a little bit of fun in the off season, and designing the car with some of the skins that they've provided, Cody's provided from the Podium Pass. I have to say, as a Brit, I really enjoy the Great Britain flag one. Some of them really aren't that good though.
No, and that's a justifiable what is it? What do we call it? Apprehension about the news with the purchasing of Cody's by EA, and even Take-Two, formerly rumored as with the pit coins and the pit pass, started to add kind of that cosmetic locking stuff away behind real money, and I would assume we may see that a little bit more coming through EA, and it's going to be kind of expected, unfortunately, with microtransactions, that sort of thing. They exist because they make money. As much as many gamers hate them, they're still a more profitable enterprise than the amount of good faith they lose by having them in. So until people stop spending all that money, they're gonna be around for a while.
Indeed, a lot of unknown quantities in Take-Two and EA managing a game like F1. They don't really have anything like this game in their portfolio resume of games, and so it will be interesting to see how they handle the fan base, and hopefully Codemasters get a lot of what's the term, they're able to keep hold of what they've built, and they're not going to get pushed around with marketing decisions and all the rest of it. This is a beautiful looking car, this AWD Turbo guy. Purple and white and blue swirl. That's a nice skin. Not realistic, but that's very nice to look at.
Absolutely, yeah. And on the flip side, we say all the negative things with the microtransaction, but when you're purchased by a studio as large as EA, and if Cody's is allowed to maintain large control over the development, they're going to get a lot more funding than they would be able to have on their own. So there could be a lot more money being poured into the game for things that take extra manpower and take extra time. So that's the upside flip side to having a large publisher take over a smaller studio, is they have that extra resource.
They do, it's just whether they use it or not. In the case of FIFA, you have to question what they've been doing with all the money they seem to make off of Ultimate Team, but hopefully they're not managed in the same way, and that they treat these games more as they give Codemasters the autonomy to do what they've been doing, because personally I think these Codemasters games are the best that F1 has had, and of course that comes with time and change, and obviously we had quite a few different developers. We had a big break between Sony Interactive Entertainment having the license for the 2006 Championship Edition, which was I think my first foray into the F1 game, and then obviously Codemasters coming in, and personally I think doing a really good job of improving the single player experience in particular, which is the bit that interested me most before coming into this league. Of course now I'd quite like to see them focus on multiplayer, since that's what I'm playing week in, week out.
Yeah, absolutely. As much stick as Cody's gets, and as many times people make jokes about them not being masters of coding with the bugs that we've experienced, I mean, they're going to exist. But yeah, I'd have to agree. They've made a very good game overall. They seem to really work to improve it, and we get quite a few patches up and down throughout the seasons, as Gloverino and Habsfan Nick coming out real close to each other. Is Nick the last one to come out in pit there? It looks like everybody should be on their final set of tires. Yep, they've all made their requisite stop, all on the mediums, to go to the final 3-4 laps of this race.
Maybe a lot closer than the Bahrain race as well. As I said at the start, this track seems to lend itself to keeping the cars closer together, and only half a second the difference between 1 and 2, and AWD right on the back of Kem as well, who has just come out on fresh tyres. It seemed going a little bit longer on those softs has paid dividends to those who decided to do it, as we round for the last few laps.
Yeah, usually most of the time in the F1 games here, the undercut seems to be fairly powerful, but it looks like in these short track events, the overcut might actually be more powerful. You're not taking as much life out of a tire on that short run there. Obviously, they kind of scale the tire wear for the 25% race, but you can really stretch those softs well past the halfway point of the race, and so you're running on that faster compound. AWD looking for a way past Kem. Kem defending hard into Stowe there. AWD not quite close enough to make the move, but you can see that front wing has an eye full of a left rear tire there of Kem in front, but closing up very tightly there, but not quite able to get the job done. And I just realized that in the little fastest lap thing, it doesn't say team, it just says multiplayer car.
Yeah. This is one of the things that I'd actually quite like to see going into future seasons, is the ability to sort of team up with custom liveries, custom team names. Now that the My Team stuff implemented, it's been an idea that's been floated already for season 3, is potentially having, teammates using the same livery as a multiplayer car. I'm not sure that's realistic with the current state of how this is implemented, but I think for the future of games, if they were to expand that is definitely something I'd like to see, having custom teams with their own liveries and drivers as teammates and all the rest of it.
Yeah, and it would lend just a little bit more ownership to the team that you're driving in a league setting. It would definitely be fun. I think until though some of the fantasy of driving is being a Ferrari driver or being a Mercedes driver and being in that car with all the sponsors on there is kind of a bit of a power enjoyment there compared to some of the sponsors you see that are made up for the game. So there's definitely pluses and minuses to it, up and down, but we're on the final lap here, and it looks like Habsfan Nick cementing his way back to the start. So he should have the pole position when it comes to the final All-Star event, as he's taken both wins. So we'll take the average finishing of the next 2 cars to bring in 3 into the final, as opposed to the race winner, since Nick took both.
Yeah, really good stuff from Nick. He was clearly the fastest driver, setting all the fastest laps, and he comes out on top and will start, like you said, on pole position for Monaco. yet another driver of the day, which I think is well and truly deserved for that race. And not a good race for Alejandro, despite starting on pole. He dropped down the order.
He got a great start and just kind of got caught up in the traffic and was unable to really break away at that stage. But cracking race from them. And that's the other thing I'd like to see them improve in the multiplayer car is the race suits. They look a little bare.
Yeah, I was just about to say, I'd love to be able to tell you who we're looking at here, because I didn't quite see the end race result with the penalties applied, and we're going to get to see that now.
Yeah, El Gloverino coming in at P2, Kem in P3. Everybody picking up at least a penalty there. You see those short races over fairly quickly, just under 11 minutes, and now we will get set up, get the grid set up, and so we'll have to pop out. But we'll take a look and a gander at some of the other champions throughout the league. And so, Tom, you were on some of the broadcasts for the PC Division 2, and we'll pop that up, and we'll just recognize Mill in the Ferrari taking over that top spot, Cruzo in P2, and Nordi in the Haas in P3, and of course Mill in that Ferrari, also the Constructors Champion with his, I believe, teammate for 3 races, Jabba Haba there.
Yeah, I didn't get to see the start of Season 2, but as we started broadcasting from sort of Austria on, it was a really fun division to watch. There is a lot of talent in that division, and the pace is very similar. And we saw a huge battle between Cruzo and Mill in the last races, where both drivers were perhaps not performing at their best, and so were fighting a little bit down the order, and that made for some really interesting, maths with the championship, and especially when it came to the last race in Brazil with, I believe Cruzo was in a much better position than Mill, and then it all switched around. There was rain, chaos. Big shout out to Ohe for doing the broadcast and leading the broadcast and commentary on those races, and to Jock James, who occasionally popped in for commentary on them as well. And hopefully we'll be able to do more the same, and maybe keep on doing the broadcast for Division 2 next season.
Yeah, I think one of the things that we're floating around in the league for sure is adjusting some of the start times for each division to kind of carve out a little bit more time for each division to be a part of that primary broadcast and really bring the racing. Because I mean, even though they're not the top quote unquote division, they're still great racing up and down the field, and that goes the same for Division 3 as well. So take a look, and Timalele, who made some appearances in Division 1 and even Division 2 there. Obviously, a fantastic drive from him to the championship there. Really a fairly dominant run. Chamblizi a P2 and Hamelin in a P3. It's, I believe, the only division where we had two drivers from the same constructor in the top 3. And of course, you get 2 in the top 3, you're going to get the Constructors Championship there.
Definitely. Yeah, this, despite how Division 1 was shaping up with K-Tomatic around halfway through the season, I'm not sure anyone was expecting Division 3 to overtake that in terms of dominance, but Timmy did a great job throughout the whole of Division 3 in probably what was one of the most entertaining leagues to watch. Despite the dominance, the racing was of incredible quality, and sometimes it wasn't the highest, and sometimes it definitely wasn't the worst racing we've seen. There was some real moments of quality, and there's a lot of guys in this division that are going to be looking to go up, not only to Div 2, but maybe even into Div 1.
Yeah, no, and we've said it before on the broadcast that a lot of times the differences between the divisions is not in just raw pace. You've definitely got drivers who can be absolutely rapid and up to that pace over one lap or a stint, but it really is moving up the divisions is really stitching it all together and turning in a performance across the entire race weekend. And that's really where you see the variance come in, so you can still get absolutely cracking racing from the Division 3 when, especially when everybody kind of has their weekend on form all at the same time.
Yeah, absolutely. And Timmy really was different gravy, as we'd say here in Britain, compared to the rest of the grid. Chamblizi as well, in terms of just sheer consistency, was always performing at the top.
Now we'll jump over and recognize your division, the PlayStation Division 1. And of course, right there, you at the top of the list there, Mr. Tom Mack, in the Racing Point. And doing it with no teammates, so you carry that Constructors Championship on your own shoulders there. LSG Killian was a real tight battle down to the very last race for them, and Ipswich and the Red Bull coming in third. How was that championship for you, since we get to ask you directly?
It was crazy, really. I was very consistent throughout the whole thing, and just made sure I finished every race and wasn't sort of too focused on winning every race, because Killian was the man with the pace. He was mega quick. He's quicker than, personally, I think he's probably the quickest in the league. If you were to put him up against some of the PC guys, he's quicker than some of them. And there were a few critical races where Killian got stuck in some traffic, or I think he had a little issue with his steering wheel in Spa or whatever, and he just wasn't able to compete. And moments like that, I think, lost him the title in the end. Where it's important that you pick your battles throughout the season. I think that's something that really helped me win this title, was picking my battles, and also just not giving up when races weren't going my way. I had a race in Bahrain, the second race, where by the end of the first lap I was dead last and off the back of the last car by 30 seconds and still won the race. And there was a moment on that lap after I'd been spun out in turn one where I thought, I think I'm just going to call it. This isn't my race. And that never settle mentality, just keep on going, you never know what happens. And it's the same sort of mentality that I think a lot of the other champions would echo. But like you said, not necessarily pace is the only important thing in these games, and across the whole season it's consistency.
Yeah, and as you mentioned, Killian having wheel issues in Belgium. In a game, we're not going to have an engine failure, or you're not going to have a turbo go out. You're not going to have, but you can still have mechanical failures. You can have an issue with your internet, or you can have an issue with your wheels. So that kind of extra bit of wildness is still available and can in some ways decide championships.
Yeah, everyone experiences something like that throughout a season. I had it in Austria where PlayStation Network just randomly disconnected on me. I had to, find an Ethernet cable and do whatever I could to get back in the race and manage to get going again. Or, you have a race where you pick up penalties under safety cars for getting hit in the back. Anything, every little thing like that seemingly makes you think the world is against you and makes you think the game's against you. They don't want you to win this race. Everyone experiences something like that, and it makes it a fair playing field. So for when things like that happen, you've got to realize that this sort of thing happens to everybody. And like you said, it makes up for the fact that you don't get these random faults in online racing like you might do in real life.
Yeah, you're not going to have quite the same Hamilton Rosberg 2016 in a video game as much, but we can have those bit of faults. And so we'll bring it to the last division we are watching right now for the champions here. And MJ Povey, my teammate, taking the top spot there. A fantastic battle between him and Fast Six driver. Went down to the very last race. Only 5 points separated them coming into that race. So a big opportunity for both of them. And Gollymooms in the Red Bull, extremely consistent, a great run for him all the way to P3. I had the pleasure of trying to chase him down, but eventually coming up short and coming out fourth. And thanks to MJ Povey's strong carry there, we took the Constructors Championship in there. And it was very much a top heavy division, I would say. Basically only two drivers won races in the Xbox division. It was MJ Povey, Fast Six driver, and then Kareem, who is rejoining us here. Before he made his switch over to the PC platform, he took the win in Bahrain. So only three drivers really took wins out of there, and we had an interesting kind of separation. We had initially enough drivers for two divisions, and then just through a little bit of attrition through the early parts of the season, we were right on that border, so we ended up combining the divisions midway through. Luckily, we had already run most of the races as combined races, so we were able to group the points up together. But it was definitely some fantastic fights all the way through the midfield, and a lot of drivers showing a lot of improvement over the course of the season as well. So definitely a ton of fun to be a part of these divisions, up and down all through the skill levels. Hopefully we can get get more drivers on the grid, and both PS4 and Xbox to really split into multiple divisions that are sufficient to sustain, strong grids, because I think that just would make the racing even better.
Absolutely. Get signed up, come and join us, because, even if you think you're not going to win or be the quickest, you truly never know what's going to happen. Looking at the Xbox division now, I'm looking on my other monitor, and it's crazy to think that in PS4, over the last 2 seasons, the eventual champion only ever won 2 races throughout the whole season, which is crazy in stark contrast to Division 3 in PC and Xbox, where the top 2 guys essentially took all the wins. So
yeah, and Xbox has been fairly top heavy. Even in season 1, there was only four different winners across there. So there's been kind of the separation in Xbox. And as a driver in that division, I came 11th in the championship in season 1. So really, I came into season 2 with a mentality of finding who you're going to battle with, and kind of, I'm not going to say accepting, but accepting that I was a midfield driver and really embracing that battle the same way that, the drivers, I'm sure, at Racing Point and McLaren and Renault, they weren't really looking to win races, but they had a fight that was a ton of fun all on their own.
Absolutely. You just have to, focus on what is realistic, and sometimes maybe lower your expectations, and you'll be shocked at what happens when maybe you succeed and, do better than your expectation.
But here we are. Got the grid set. The drivers are on board here, so we'll get out onto the grid as we get ready to go to Monaco for a classic 50% distance race there. Obviously, we're setting that reverse grid on the championship order, and then the qualifiers are going to be set based on their average finishing position, which the coordinators have done in the background. I have not been privy to the math, and I've been focusing on other things, honestly, like trying to run the stream, which makes me appreciate what you do so much more. It's a lot to focus on, like 3 different screens. I've got the Twitch channel on my iPad with the chat open. I've got the Xbox on my TV. I've got the PC with the OBS. It's madness. How do you do it with all these graphics too that I don't even have to worry about?
A lot of hate-filled adrenaline. As soon as you press that live button, you've got people in your ear, instinct takes over, and it's muscle memory eventually, but it's still a mess, and you still hate it when things go wrong. Things will still go wrong, it's just how you manage it. Unfortunately, I've had a little bit of experience in the media world and how, video editing and all the rest of it, so it's fortunately, I came into it with a little bit more experience than perhaps I let on, but it's madness when you're live and you realize you can't undo something that just happened. That's scary, and it happened a lot this season, and hopefully it will happen less next season.
Yeah, it's all about ironing that out, and I'd just like to reiterate that official F1 Esports does all their stuff in post, so even more props to Tom in having all these overlays and graphics and having them live. It looks like cars are now out on the grid. Habs fan Nick at the front of it. We get the formation lap underway. Let's check out what their tires are starting on. So obviously no qualifying run for them. So everybody gets a fresh set of tires to start. And Habs fan Nick on the soft compound at the start. A big bunch of drivers on the medium. El Glavarino, Kem, Alejandro Hayes, AWD Turbo Guy, all on the mediums. And now we're into those who qualified on their top finishing positions in the championship. We've got QX Nemesis in a nice blue livery there. He's on the softs, and then everybody else on the mediums. There are a lot of medium compound runners, only 2 softs. Got Racer 04 coming through. We'll jump on board to just see a better look at his livery there, since they're using that lovely camera of the hairpin. He's running the looks like he's running the Schumacher livery there.
Livery that they provide in the game. Yeah, big shout out to Nemesis, who was using the Great Britain hope to see Aston Martin maybe have a look at and think about using. Oh, there's a nice little drift there from
This looks like that was from Gali there. I believe, yep. He's running the end racism livery that was added with the patch in this game here, really bringing on that We Races 1 as we saw Alejandro Hayes running. We got Fast 6 driver, P2 in the championship, nearly taking the win there. Very close, a very great battle. But one of the things with Fast 6, he was on the podium in every race he started. So he finished all the races he started and was on the podium. So it really pulled the extra Max Verstappen there and coming on the podium. He only missed one race, and that was the only time he was not on the podium. And then we've got MJ Povey and Kareem at the back of the grid there. Kareem on the back of the grid because he's added as an all-star race winner, and they're both running a pink livery in a bit of a meme in our respect to season 1 and a certain incident in Bahrain.
Yes, I've heard about that.
It looks like a pretty solid start as they're all getting away with the line. Let's see if there's going to be heroics into Sandoval as they are wide all over there. As MJ Povey showing P2, but definitely not P2. We're getting that lovely timing tower glitch. Looks like he's backing out as Kareem's going through. We'll see El Glavarino making his way past Habs Van Nick. Habs Van Nick on the soft tire, not getting quite the launch he needed. Nemesis, though, really getting his way up the field there, almost into the lead after starting outside that top 5 there.
Concertina effect there as they had to get on the brakes extra hard, I think.
Looks like
Alejandro in the Say No to Mazepin livery, hitting the back in the braking zone, and it caused everyone else to get on the brakes. Yep. Like you said, MJ Povey's now for 11.
Yeah, it looks like sometimes there's a little bit of a timing glitch where it says a driver is all the way at the front, and they're certainly not at the front. A bit of a lock up into the chicane there. As you can see, we're not running in the normal race daytime. We've got it at twilight under the lights. You're kind of scraping the wall there.
Demo from Curran now goes off into the wall, and this is actually I'm a big advocate for this, so I absolutely love Curran. I'd love to see it. That's a brilliant move if he can make it stick. He's got a little unlucky with AWD going mega deep into that turn, and he gets out of the way. Damaged front wing, but ghosting certainly helped into turn 1, and if Monaco was to ever get added, going into the pit, onto the hard tyres, hoping to take those to the end of the race.
Looking like he probably had to have a front wing change from that sector 2 incident, but we'll jump ahead. QX Nemesis now into the hairpin, trying to go down the inside. Just not enough lock to really get down the inside. You can see just kind of getting into the side pods there, and just not enough turn to get around in that hairpin. It's so tough to overtake, but Nemesis really showing a good run. Good run early on here. But El Glavarino, as we said, has good pace overall and has put himself in a good position. Ooh, there's a bit of a mess coming through the chicane there. We'll see who's dropped back. It looks like Habs Van Nick dropping right back down. He's got a little bit of damage to that front wing there, but he's moving again, although that soft tire, probably not the best tire to start on, it looks like, although Nemesis making it work. And there's more yellow flags. Voki sideways and ghosted there, coming through the swimming pool.
Yeah, I was hoping this race would maybe prove something to those voting for the race next season, that Monaco is doable. Unfortunately, I don't think this start's been a good for adding Monaco to the circuit, to the calendar. And,
it looks like Nemesis has finally taken the lead off of Glavarino there, but we'll see. It's still early days here. Only lap 3 we could have it settle in, and there's been some good battling going on, but yeah, definitely hard to make any kind of moves.
Plenty of damage, obviously. These multiplayer cars I found mega understeery as well, so that will really hurt them, especially when they start moving into their front wing, almost inevitable. As they fling around into the tunnel, a little bit of drag, probably the best overtaking opportunity of the whole circuit. So be really careful to put them the right amount of turning and then deep. But that's always going to happen as they get pinched into this really tight chicane.
Well, that's allowed MJ Povey to get right in there, and he's had a bit of a jump from the back of the grid there, getting himself now into the top 5. And thought about going down the inside of Raskas, didn't fully commit, and has now lost a bit of that front wing end plate. So the understeery multiplayer cars, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, custom setups were allowed for this race, so you were able to dial it in a bit, but the car is just naturally understeery. And it wasn't announced that we were racing at Monaco for the All-Star event until earlier this week, so setup time, practice time was pretty limited over. It's got so many names, doesn't it? I've always thought of it as the Lowe's hairpin, but you've got the hotel hairpin. I'm sure there's several other names.
Yeah. Interchangeable, I suppose.
The Racer 4 having a little bit of a run into that overtaking zone, down the inside, just has to back it up. Ooh, Povy's gotten into the back of him. Looks like, though, not any extra wing damage, but you really have to get so far alongside to make that move work. And surprisingly, we've seen drivers even still committing to making the chicane, unlike Hamilton in 2019 when Verstappen got alongside and Hamilton locked up and just cut that chicane there for his race win there.
The pit with that damage to the end plate, front left end plate came into the pits. Will be, I think, one of 3 drivers to have served, 3 or 4 drivers now to have served their first pit stop and their only pit stop if they choose to do it, although I somehow doubt that any of these guys will be making it on a 1-stop. That's a lovely camera angle. Again, I hope we see this in the calendar next season, so we get to take advantage of some of these.
Yeah, in season 1 and even during the voting process of season 2, we really were very focused as drivers and as the league. We kind of have a survey of tracks you want to see. We're very much thinking of the racing and the experience of driving the track. But now that we're putting so much extra production and quality into the broadcast, we may have to start considering the visual aspect and the entertainment value of a track, and we may see some tracks get onto the calendar that are the spectacle.
Car going slowly through the Nouvelle chicane, causing the yellow flags. I believe that was
the Habs who's now missing both of his front wing end plates.
So aerodynamically symmetrical, I suppose you would call that. Unfortunately, he will be losing a lot of downforce, but he'll be losing it symmetrically. Unfortunately, that's not quite good enough for him around this circuit, which is understandable when he chooses to pit.
Yeah, and you saw it just there as he was about ready to come into the pits, that loss of front downforce through the swimming pool chicane and into Raskas there. The double front lockups, just trying to get on the brakes and not having that extra force down to keep those tires gripped up. The QX Nemesis has a hefty lead out front there, and we'll see what goes on over the remaining course of this, as Kareem is still off the back. It looks like he's had to make a couple of pit stops.
Yeah, 35 seconds back, a long way, but around a track like Monaco, you said earlier that some of the drivers were putting a little bet in as to how many safety cars we'd see. 3 apparently the average, so I would assume that we are going to see 1 at some point. Of course, with reduced damage, maybe I'll jinx it by saying we're not going to be seeing any full-on crashes and retirements from it. That's a nice move there, because the Galliman's getting very wide through the Nouvelle chicane, and MJ Povey, championship winner, MJ Povey getting the move done. Flies through what's that chicane called? The 15-16 chicane. I suppose it's all part of the swimming pool, isn't it?
I think 13, 14, 15, 16 is all the swimming pool chicane. I could be wrong. In fact, I'm probably wrong. I'll admit. I'm almost certainly wrong. I'm an American. My skill with corner names is lacking.
Yeah, I'm not one to know the corner names off by heart. I'm pretty familiar with Monaco, fortunately. This race, I've not had to put too much preparation into my commentary duties, as you can probably tell. I have absolutely no idea what sort of strategies will be made, because quite frankly I don't think any of these guys know what strategies are going to be made.
I mean, the strategy would...
frequent.
I would say largely dictated by front wing wear as opposed to tire wear. Voki now really trying to put the moves on Alejandro here. We are starting to see the drivers that finished higher up in the championship kind of shuffling their way through the field. Definitely an extra challenge for them to start towards the back of the grid, but you can see QX Nemesis really making his moves through. Povey also making his way up through, but El Gloverino is still holding up towards the top there. Didn't get any of the wins in the short races. There's a yellow flag in sector 2, and that's AWD Turbo guy out of session. So we got a virtual safety car. So not a full safety car, but I'll half count it. It's a half a point.
What I will say is that I think that 35-second interval we saw between Karim and the rest of the field has dropped to 10 seconds now, which, so I have a feeling either that's a bug or Karim has put some fantastic laps together to make up nearly 10 seconds a lap.
Yeah, and he's dropped back because he's made 2 stops, as we can see there. So
as well.
That's what really put him that 35 seconds off. It looks like his Chem is also coming in for another one. But up, ooh, got on board right as Voki gets right into the wall there. And
take a bit off the chicane as well, and we'll take a 3-second time penalty for that. Of course, that's another aspect of this track. Of course, you don't think, not necessarily track extension by running wide in areas that maybe you shouldn't because you'll simply hit a wall, but cutting those chicanes, the Nouvelle chicane, and turn 1, of course, is all possible, and you will get caught out for that.
Absolutely, and it looks like now you really need the car kind of in the best shape possible in order to make overtakes around here, and if you're lacking that extra bit of front end and that extra turn in, it makes a very difficult track to overtake on, even harder to get around. See just the slightly different lines that drivers take through the hairpin kind of results in either a fast entry or a fast exit, but if you have a fast exit behind a car that had a faster entry, you're not going to be able to get too much momentum.
Exactly, and of course that corner is notorious for the guys, particularly on console, who use controllers, for being very, very difficult to be able to fight the racer. Getting a little bit sideways, losing an end plate, and that will be a pit stop.
Yep, and that front wing wear showing itself. I hope the pit crews brought extra wings for this event. Luckily, it's an exhibition event, so they don't have to worry about supplying wings for the rest of the season. What a good move to get down the inside by Fast 6 on El Gloverino. It looks like Gloverino dropping significantly off the pace. He was hanging around 10 seconds off of Nemesis, but Fast 6, showing his outright pace and what really kept him in the championship fight all the way till the end. So we'll see if he can now close up the gap to QX Nemesis, the Season 1 champion.
He's had a really solid race, got the move done early, and managed to pull out a lead. I'm not sure, he's 10 seconds in front of here, so he's just going through he's just approaching Raskas, and beautiful look out, it's fantastic to see. He's got front wing damage, but it seems like he's happy to keep going. That is a small bit of wing damage. You can see some of the straights as well.
Yeah, and while that might be enough to have allowed him to pull out ahead of Gloverino, you can see Fast 6 already now taking about a second and a half out of that lead in the span of a couple of sectors there. So it may be Nemesis might have to be looking at that gap and thinking, can I continue on this wing and get to my pit window for tires, or does he need to make an extra stop?
The benefit is that everyone behind him who started on the mediums and the hards, maybe with the anticipation of going long on those tyres and then had to pit for various other reasons unrelated to the tyres. Nemesis starting on the softs, I mean, these tyres are going to be at the end of their life quicker, so it's not going to lose as much time in terms of the change in tyre compounds as the others would have from starting on the mediums to going on to another set of mediums.
Absolutely. I'm going to pull up his sector times and see how he's doing compared to his fast lap. 2.1 seconds back of his best lap time. So definitely losing the pace. Usually you can keep an eye on those sector times for tire wear, but obviously he is coming into the pits. So he might be able to make a set of hard tires go to the end of this race. We'll see what his pit crew's got in hand, see if we can get a glimpse. Looks like, yep, the white-walled hard compound going on there for him. So that's going to promote Fast 6 out in the lead, who sets the fastest lap of the race on his multiplayer car.
And, fine. He had to make I believe he had to make a stop earlier in the race. No, he has gone the full distance. On these tyres, it was another car in the all-red livery, which I believe was
Nick, I believe.
Habs, yes, Habs fan Nick. So this is good, consistent racing. No damage on the front wing, visible damage on the front wing. A few seconds of time penalties, but that's not a problem around here in particular. So for Fast 6 at the moment, he's the man who's been able to keep it as consistent as possible, and is enjoying the reward for that. Look at the space on the minimap that he has got as he locks it up going into the Nouvelle Chicane. Good exit. And fly through to that and into the swimming pool section.
You can see all the tire marks being laid down from all of the lockups, especially into the Nouvelle Chicane. You see those big dark streaks as everybody having trouble getting the adhesion down in that braking zone. But as far as the way the line turns, it seems that everybody's able to at least get it slowed down enough to make it work. But here we got Nemesis on fresh tires behind Alejandro Hayes, and he's going to try and go around the outside of Rascaz. Had a look. It was a very wide entry there. Might be just setting up for that run down the only DRS straight, a very short run. Looks like Alejandro able to get good enough launch off that final corner to keep Nemesis behind for just a little bit longer. But Nemesis is going to want to clear him quickly, and as the damage we saw him take earlier shows that he's not afraid to stick his nose in there to get the job done.
No, he had to do it to get into the lead in the first place and gets a very good braking zone, and is going to have the racing line. Another great move through that section of the track, the Mirabeau turn 5-6 complex, and into the tunnel section now. Alejandro dropping back, but he's done really well, Alejandro, because I don't believe he was on pole. He wasn't, was he? Nemesis was, so very impressive from Alejandro to stay in this position. But for MJ Povey, who started right down the order now, made up 6 places in his starting position, it's knocking on the door of 4th place.
Yeah, and then Povey on a fresher bit of tires as well, I believe. Yep, he's on these fresher hard tires, and Gloverino into the pit lane. Looks like grabbing another set of soft compound, so opting for the 2-stop strategy. But Alejandro really, so far, staying clean at least. No damage. Looks like a little bit of end plate damage set from, but on that starting set of tires. And so running quite long here. I think it'll be pretty marginal for Povey to be able to get to the end on those hard tires as he goes down the inside, much like Nemesis did a couple of laps ago. I think Alejandro just doesn't have the grip anymore to fight that particular move from those fresher tires.
No, and I can see from his wheel inputs he's using a controller as well, so he's suffering the wheeled racer of MJ Povey. But fair play to Fossick and Alejandro, the two drivers coming out on the track with their existing tyres, and again no visible damage on Alejandro, so you can see they're going to try and make these tyres last. Of course, clear that Alejandro doesn't have the pace of those in and around this area of the field, but he will be in a good position relative to others in his pace category, if you like. Nice bit of wheel spin there, and nice drift that.
I mean, it is an all-star event. You got to show off a little bit, get a little sideways, show your skills a little bit more. It's not the most serious of races. The only thing on the table, though, is the race winners of the all-star events, much like the Masters in golf, get automatic entry to every single one in the future. So taking that win gets them in all the way. That's why Kareem is on the grid, even though he spent most of the year in the PC division. He was Season 1 All-Star event winner and got his free entry.
Do they get a nice green jacket as well?
That's not in the budget, unfortunately. I give him a thumbs up in the Discord, and
That's good enough. I think we can afford that.
yeah, that's within budget for the streams. AWD is in the game chat or in the chat channel now. He's saying you're a little quiet with respect to gamers. Make a small adjustment. And AWD, if you want, we might since you've DNF'd, if you want, we could pull you in for a quick little chat about your run in the event. If you want, just say so in Discord or Twitch. I'll keep an eye out and we can pull you in for a little bit of a mid-race interview as you've gotten out of the car. We'll see if he's on board for that, since get the racer's perspective. But up at the front,
It'd be interesting.
Fast 6 has made it past QX Nemesis. So that, or rather now, Nemesis catching up. I had totally apparently forgotten about the pit stop that Nemesis had. I was only reminded when I looked at his front wing and saw it was not broken anymore.
Ooh, pick up penalty there. 3 seconds for him, taking a little bit too much out of that chicane.
Big contact with the wall there. And now it's another in-plate.
Price. And I have a feeling that would probably be a pit stop as well. Although, having said that, he went long on his first. No, there he goes.
Maybe this time thinking that that not having the wing was hurting him more than he anticipated. But going on to the medium tires, maybe with a Lewis Hamilton type drive, might be able to stretch those to the end as long as he gets on the radio and constantly says, I don't know, man, I think this is the wrong choice. Yeah, it looks like AWD is willing to hop in there. Yeah, it looks easier. Good afternoon. Welcome on to the broadcast. How was the short track events before we get into to the main race for you?
The short track events were actually quite fun. The default setups definitely in F1 2020 a big improvement over the default ones in 2019. So it helped keep the racing close, at least in the Britain race that we had.
Yeah, and I saw you taking a bit of the Johnny Herbert virtual Grand Prix line in Bahrain there. You racked up quite a few time penalties there.
Absolutely. Being one of the slower drivers on the grids, I gotta kind of do whatever I can to get close, for the fans at least, to make it closer for you guys here on the Twitch stream. But yeah, being that far back gets kind of lonely at times. So that's why I ended up cutting for the first race. But thankfully, in the second one, I was able to have a close battle with K3M. Unfortunately, ended up dead last thanks to corner cutting penalties that time.
So it's a little different between there, but you had quite the rivalry over the course of the main season with Stanier towards the end there. How was it getting kind of a late season addition to battle with?
It actually made it very fun. Stanier definitely had the pace. I would say the race pace on me, so it forced me to try and focus on being more consistent because he was more prone to DNFs than I was. So whenever we'd have the practice sessions throughout the week, I try and join as many as I could just to improve consistency and avoid penalties, any kind of damage, or whatever else would throw off my race strategy going into the race. So it was very great having some new guys come in and join during that season, and I'm looking forward to season 3.
Excellent.
For you. What inspired your livery choice? Certainly the most eye-catching livery thing out of everyone in those on the grid, really, on the whole grid.
Yeah, I was actually kind of throwing it together last minute as K3M and MJ were doing the award ceremony that we had earlier in Discord. but I was trying to do that. I don't remember the name off the top of my head, but the wave runner aesthetic kind of thing.
Oh,
Just
so it's
you know,
like
the
synth
old.
wave.
Yeah. Yes. Exactly. Yeah. I was trying to put those colors into that oil slick livery that they have.
Very nice.
Yeah, it turned out
Thank you.
fantastic. Definitely eye catching.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. Yeah.
As I always say about my golf game is, may not be good at it, but I can look good while I'm doing it. You know.
Yeah, that's definitely the role I kind of take in here. Being on the back of the grid at most times, I try to do, you know, with this multiplayer livery too, try to look eye-catching and get some screen time, whatever it
Worked out pretty well on it.
takes. I'm glad to hear it.
Yeah, you've definitely improved significantly. You're my teammate in season 1. You've improved over the course of the second season there, and Voki's going by Alejandro Hayes there as Alejandro continues to kind of fall back through the field, and now I think pretty much all of the drivers now in the top 4 have worked their way through. El Gilberto and Halfstand Nick though still up there, but yeah, I've been impressed with your progress throughout last season and the jumps you've made this season. Your consistency, has been a big improvement, I would say. So congratulations on that, and congratulations on your graduation as well. I'll say that live on air.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, it was kind of tough to try and work, being more consistent in this season and also trying to finish up schooling. But in the end, I think it was worth it. This league is definitely a lot of fun.
Where did your priorities lie?
Well, with this pandemic going on, schooling got a little bit easier, everything being online, so there's a little bit more leniency, so that allowed me to kind of free up some more time to focus more on this league and making those improvements.
And how was your experience here in the in Monaco? The first time we've taken to Monaco in the league here. How is the racing, you think? Is it better than you'd expect, or is it about what you thought on par, and one of the reasons maybe why it's not typically on the calendar?
I think that with the online multiplayer experience that we had, I think it can be a little bit buggy at times, and I mean I kind of felt that a little bit throughout my short stint in the race, at least, with some players lagging and posting, but it actually made for a very exciting race. I don't know if it's worthy of being on a championship season calendar, but for one of these one-offs, it definitely is. It's a great race, and unfortunately for myself, I had been in the mindset that for the first 2 qualifying races, having the default setups enacted, I didn't remember to actually apply my own setup that I had for Monaco for the Monaco race. So that's kind of put me a little bit behind, and I decided it'd probably be best if I just retired and let everybody else battle with each other on track.
Oh, I feel like I'm going to be acting as chief whip for votes on Monaco getting added to the proper calendar. It sounds like it's not been good so far. I'm probably going to work a little bit harder at getting more people in line.
Yeah, it's a very fun track, and it's a fun multiplayer experience. But I mean, in terms of actually having it for championship points, I think that a lot can go wrong, and I think it'll make the stewards maybe a bit more too busy if you do end up adding it. Maybe add it the last race before we have a nice little break, so everything gets sorted out.
It's not a bad idea. Seeing a lot of people get pretty understeery through Tabac. Do you think that the night race is affecting a bit of that grip in the front end there? You think the lower temperatures of the track might be hurting that a little bit?
I do think it does, and I think that having the lower track temperatures, it definitely ruins your tires a bit quicker. So strategy ends up playing kind of a more important factor. I know that at least when I was getting ready to go in there, they're recommending a 1-stop from medium to hards or a 2-stop with medium, soft. So I definitely think that the track looks actually very good at night, running through the marina and everything.
We've got a virtual
Seems
safety
where-
car out there. It looks like Kem has gone, wow, very hard into some
Oh, it's a
barriers
huge
there.
crash.
Was trying to find a car near him going by, and that is quite
massive.
the clat there. You see, looks like they've got
Awesome
it cleared
crash.
off, but just a virtual safety car as wreckage kind of went straight on off the racing line. But you know, AWD, we were talking in the Discord, you know, over unders on safety cars. Tom and I have decided to count a virtual safety car as a safety car with the reduced damage. So we're at 2 of the 3 that we expected. And Kem typing in the Discord there definitely didn't crash on purpose. So it's a shame we missed that. I would have loved to have seen what happened there, but hopefully he's okay.
Very massive. A big crash. I seem to remember Sutil went off there quite heavily. It was the end of last decade. It was a massive crash when you get it wrong going into that Nouvelle chicane. But yeah, a nice big accident, but good news for our little bet for the Xbox division guys with regards to how many safety cars there are going to be.
We've still got, you know, 14, 15 laps or so left to get it. They've been coming on right on about that margin, so we might get a very late one. MJ Povey opting to dive in for an extra set of soft compound tires at this stage. Might have been trying to take advantage of the VSC, but it ended basically right as he was getting into the pit lane there, so it might have cost him a little bit more track position and time than he expected.
Everyone now with time penalties to their name, as you can see on the left.
Let's see how many
We've
seconds.
got everyone with 3. Apart from Habsvan Nick, who's managed to pick up a 2-second time penalty somewhere, or is that just a 1 5-second time penalty? Probably for causing a collision, or perhaps speeding under VSC.
Well, I just want to say thanks to AWD for jumping in with us. Definitely great to get your talking in on your experience for the season, and look forward to racing you in season 3 for sure.
Yeah, thank you guys very much. Thank you, Tom, too, for doing these streams. They've been looking fantastic, and of course, Quimbulus for always helping on the commentary whenever you can. But yeah, had a great season 2, and I'm excited for season 3. I'm excited to see what we have in store.
Thank you. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, MJ probably making pretty quick inroads on Racer 04 on that soft compounded tires. I mean, they're definitely quick. The question is, are they going to get to the end of the race? Is it up the inside? Ooh, it's gone sideways.
Ooh.
Has he taken damage on that front wing though? It looks like both the end plates are all right. It looks like it was just side pod banging. It looks like he got kind of that little bit where you get hooked the 2 rear wheels together and you can't really pull apart, because it looked like he had gotten down the inside and was going to be able to get the traction down and pull ahead, but it looks like he just kind of stalled out under acceleration.
Don't know whether Racer had any pre-existing damage on that front wing, but he's definitely got some damage, losing the right end plate. Got another yellow flag in the exit of the Anthony Nojes for the last corner, but seems to be okay.
Oof.
Oh, as I say that.
And it was Kareem going slowly through that final corner, and now he's missed his braking zone and gone straight on. Now he's got to go all the way around the track with no front wing, and so
But the way I see it is that's weight reduction, so that should help in some areas, except not aerodynamic, and he will see what that's like trying to navigate the streets of Monte Carlo.
At this point, he can't take any more front wing damage. He has no front wing to damage.
Exactly. You must always look on the bright side when it comes to these things. And as I say,
it looks like he's being ghosted, and Povey has made his way through Racer 04 as we were on board with Kareem, but since he was ghosted being a lap down. But definitely a tough race. I know he sat out the last few races of the PC season. And after making that change, so I'm sure he's a fair bit rusty. I would expect him to go straight on and just take that 10 seconds, because it would probably take him about 15 seconds to drive that chicane with no front wing.
Smash into the wall, and you can imagine what doing this in a normal season would be like with balls damage that we use. We don't use simulation, we use full damage. We're on board with the Hanswell Hayes in the Say No to Mazepin livery.
I like that renaming of that livery. I can get on board with that.
It remains fast 6 in the lead of this race. Only a 20-second gap to Nemesis when you account for the penalties.
Povey's got quite a ways. He is on those soft tires, so he's got a ways to catch up. He's on those 3 laps. Pretty fresh, but Fast 6 really just kind of controlling the race out front. Nemesis making that second pit stop. Thought he might have had the opportunity to really reel him in, but it looks like he's just kind of stalled out at about that 18-second mark.
Yep, struggling, perhaps, as AWD said, with the lower track temperatures because of the day-night cycle. It is permanently night here for this race in Monaco. We're not able to get the tyres up to operating temperature, and like I said, these multiplayer cars are just so unsteady as is. So on a track like Monaco, that would be the worst-case scenario.
Absolutely, yeah. And sending a message over to Kem, the other DNF, see if he wants to make an appearance like AWD did, and if he's willing, give his account of the incident, since we didn't get to catch it.
Race for him. 4 pit stops in about half race distance.
Gali and Kareem also with the pit stops. We saw Kareem with that big heavy showing his Voki making his way just as Racer was on the pit exit there, so a real tight battle, and looks like Kem is joining us up. Welcome, Kem. Thank you for joining us. We didn't get to catch your incident on the main stream. We just kind of saw the results. What was the incident there?
I believe he's muted. Yeah.
There we go. Now
should be me now. Well, I saw on the map that it was quite spaced out, so I tried to liven the race a bit and bring a safety car out. Didn't quite work out as planned as the VSC came out, but I think I was in the pit about 5 times in that race, so I just gave up, basically. It wasn't a good one. Start straight away, got some company damage, tried to go around 3 laps, and then eventually took the whole thing off, so pitted. My pit crew probably got a bit tired of me by about 10 maybe, in and out the whole time. So I'll write that one off.
Yeah, not the most ideal experience around Monaco. I mean, luckily the team brought enough front wings to facilitate 4 pit stops, but yeah, we saw the aftermath of your car and the pretty heavy wreckage there at the Nouvelle Chicane. But how was your experience in the qualifying races coming up there? We saw you running pretty well towards Bahrain, and then was it the death curve that caught you out there?
Yeah, I got death curbed at Bahrain. Happened last season as well. Don't really like that particular part of the track, clearly. I was struggling for pace from the get-go, but yeah, as soon as the death curve I got death curbed, that was my race over, really. Luckily, moved up a position thanks to AWD, not quite knowing where the track was for the last couple of laps, and just, trying to create a shorter track of the short track.
Yeah, we pulled him in, and he admitted to taking the Johnny Herbert line through turn 1 pretty much every time.
Why not?
And cutting it completely. And he said that he was getting lonely, so he was just trying to catch up to somebody. But unfortunately, it resulted in him being disqualified. But you were only able to join us for the last few races of the season, but turned in some pretty solid performances there. How was it getting back on the grid after so much time off?
Yeah, it was hard to adjust with specifically the battles on track. I was trying to keep it as clean as I could, but still struggling with the top end pace and getting the setups right. But luckily got a good P6 at Brazil on the season finale, so I took the last 3 races as a success overall. Yeah,
you've definitely shown the tendency to finish strong. Obviously, you picked up your one and only podium in Brazil last year, so quite an affinity with that track there, and yeah, definitely a step-on-step improvement there. If I remember correctly, you didn't have a whole lot of drive time in adjusting to F1 2020 from 2019 before rejoining the grid here is the physics are a little bit different. The cars handle a fair bit differently, at least in my opinion, between 2019 and 2020. How was it getting a handle on the car changes?
Yeah, I think that's what I struggled with the most. I think that really hampered my actual pace. It felt like playing a complete different game from last year. Whereas last year I wasn't too bad. I got lots of P4s, P5s. But this year it's like back in that season, I need to practice more than previous just to make sure I was kind of at some kind of pace and can compete compared to everybody else. So yeah, it was like, the main thing for me was like my rear stability. I think the way my accelerating out the corners, I had to change a bit as well, just to make sure I wasn't consistently spinning. Just little tweaks here and there, just to make sure I wasn't terrible.
Well, you've definitely turned in some good performances at the tail end of the season. So terrible is not the word I'd use to describe your driving at all. And definitely a shout out and thanks to you for coordinating season 1 and being co-coordinator for season 2 as well. Even when you weren't on the grid, definitely a big help in the Discord channel. You definitely weren't absent by any means. So as a driver in the division, I definitely got to say I appreciate that.
Thank you. I love the work with you with the post comms as well. Really helped the Xbox division really appreciate like the races, because there's a few people I want to watching the premieres every week when they pop up for the post comms. So great work there as well.
Yeah, Brazil
really
Brazil
awesome
has
to watch.
taken me a little bit longer than normal, so I should have that done fairly soon. Apologies for the
worries.
delay, since we didn't have the camera crew for that one.
Yes, it's another mega what's brilliant work as well.
A quick question regarding, obviously, with consoles, we've had a new console generation start at the end of this season. A lot of console guys, usually upgrade to the new consoles once they become available, which of course isn't as easy this season. Is there going to be a point where, some of the guys racing in this division are going to have been able to have picked up a console over the Christmas period or, into 2021, where the division is going to have to switch over to the new console?
I mean, I think it's kind of hard to ask for everyone to switch at the moment, at least, because obviously different people have different problems, and not everyone will be able to get the new Xbox and the PS. So I feel it's the kind of thing we have to just wait and see what the numbers are. My feeling would be that it's maybe too much to ask initially at this moment in time for everyone to force a switch, but later down the line, not this coming season at least, maybe season 4 or 5, we could look at the possibility of switching over. It just depends on the actual numbers.
Yeah, and I think
So
for F1 2020 on the Series X and the PS5, it's going to exist basically as a backwards compatible game, if I'm not mistaken. So that I believe there should be crossplay available, so we shouldn't have quite the issue. Obviously, that's conjecture. I haven't done quite the research yet, but I would assume that's how it's going to function.
I'd hope so, because... So you go.
No, AWD Turbo Guy just gifted a ton of subs in the chat.
10 subs, thanks so much. Really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Yeah, thank you so much, AWD. And it's really great to see the generosity. I really appreciate it, man. Now I need to figure out what I do with a tier 1 sub.
Heaven subs are expensive. Thank you so much, honestly, that is incredible support. Said it a lot this season, but all of the money that we make from subs and all the rest of it are just going to get re-injected straight back into the league for guys who don't have access to the game and need a copy and all the rest of it. We've done it a couple of times already, and instead of it coming out of our own pocket necessarily, we can just reinvest the money that you guys have really generously donated essentially to help everyone else out. So
Yeah, it's a huge thanks, especially as the community continues to grow. We're definitely finding great people all around. So definitely, if you're looking to drive and join up, it's a fantastic community to be a part of. Even outside of the driving, we've got pretty lively chats on the Discord pretty much all the time. Tons of fun, great group of people all around the world to share the passion with. We've got Gully and Kareem apparently trying to set some world records for pit stops here. We've got 6 stops between the two of them each, and Kareem going very slowly through the Nevada chicane. I wonder if he's picked up more damage after he just came out of the pit lanes, but out at the front, fast 6 still with his one and only stop. But I will ask while we still got Kem here, and how would you rate the racing around Monaco here? Do you think it's good enough in a multiplayer situation to justify a spot on the calendar, or is it still a little bit too niche, and as we see with all the pit stops, maybe a little bit of a war of attrition as opposed to a race?
I'd look at the actual gaps between people on whether a race would be interesting to watch. There's like 4 cars, including myself, getting lapped by about lap 10, and we've got not a big battle at all in the top 5, at least for any positions. So I'm not too sure it'll be the most interesting to watch, but what it's got going for it is it's an achievement to finish. It's achievement to not hit the walls. Well, for me personally, anyway. So it brings something different to the other tracks because you've got to really try to finish, and whereas in some tracks you get some leeway, you can go wide and not punish you. One mistake here and your race could be basically over.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'd like to imagine in a non-exhibition event, we'd probably not see as many pit stops. People would be pushing a little bit more carefully, and avoiding the 6-stop strategy.
You'd hope so.
Only 2 laps to go then, and yeah, like you were saying, the gaps between the drivers. I'm a big advocate for adding Monaco to the calendar. I think it's the ultimate test really of a driver, where some drivers are obviously mega quick on pace and take the lead and hold the lead. I think is such a different challenge to any other circuit on the calendar, and regardless really of whether or not it's a good circuit for raceability wheel to wheel, it's a race for the drivers. Probably doesn't make for a very good show from my perspective, but I think as a driver I feel like it's a real track to, if you win here, that's a big deal.
You hear that, Ken? He said if you win here, it's a big deal. I'm sure you like to hear that after the mini championship in the break of season 1.
My most famous win, and only. I mean, it's incredibly hard. If you start at the front, you've obviously got the massive advantage. You can just try and defend your hardest. If someone tries to overtake you, you can just slightly tap them into the wall. But,
Of course, we'd never advocate for that, but
no, never. But if anybody tries to go on your outside or something adventurous, you can stop them. Let's put it that way. You might be in the steward's room afterwards, but it's racing sometimes.
Yeah, and you definitely say about the gaps. I mean, MJ Povey's on a 4-stop strategy and is still running P3. I know he had a gap behind him, and I'm sure he put on those soft tires to go for a fastest lap at the end. And obviously, no points awarded for it, but the pride of having that fastest lap is definitely something to write home about in an event like this.
absolutely. And what a drive this is from Fast 6, who is now on his final lap of the race, who's only made 1 pit stop. It's the perfect one-stop strategy from him, and as far as I know, not taken any significant wing damage to warrant any untimely pit stops. And from his perspective, this is, similarly to you, Ken, this is a crowning achievement in some sense, a 50% race without taking too much damage, winning the damn thing. And I'm not fully up to date on how the quadruple crown is working for you guys in Xbox, but you know, is this a potential? Is this a first round of a quadruple crown, or is this a second? Or...
Well, it was supposed to be the second, but we had some technical difficulties last week with Indianapolis on Project Cars, where we've kind of scrapped it almost. So we'll probably try win it again in next year sometime. So we round 2 or 4.
Is Forza a cross-platform game? Motorsport 7.
It's a good question. I'm not sure, but Fast 6 does cross the line to take the win. See QX Nemesis coming across, and fair bit of a gap between the two, about 6 seconds at the line, 11 seconds after penalties, but you can see the gap. MJ Povey just coming through the hairpin is third. Will be the third finisher of the race, and you can see lapped all the way up to El Gloverino. And MJ Povey and Racer 04 will be the last ones to cross the finish line live there, but the 4 stops, yeah, AW Turbo guys, 4-stop strategy running P3. So maybe good for an exhibition event, and definitely good for the more casual broadcast of bringing in Cam and AWD, and not having to worry about the David Croft style commentary, because there's definitely a lot of air gaps to fill in this one.
And to the finish line, MJ Povey then rounds it out.
The Racer will be the last driver on the lead lap there, coming in at P4. But I want to say thank you, Kem, for jumping in after your incident and joining us, and thank you for all you do as the Xbox division co-coordinator.
Thanks for having me.
MJ Povey picking up the driver of the day according to the game. I think I have to though give it to Fast 6. Making as you say, that one-stop strategy work, getting all the way to the end with no damage. Definitely an interesting way to round out the official kind of F1 season for Xbox. I know the rest of the quadruple crown will probably take place in Project Cars for Le Mans, and I actually don't remember what the 4th race is going to be.
Well, unfortunately for me, that is a bit of a downer on my anticipation of getting Monaco added to the season for next year. I was hoping this would be a showcase for some great wheel-to-wheel racing and clean racing, but never mind.
It was its own particular type of event for sure.
Exactly.
I'll give it that. It's got its own charm. Maybe not in unless we're doing literally an all tracks kind of season. Probably going to be one that's going to be left out aside from it. But I wouldn't be opposed to more divisions taking on the all-star format, and maybe having those races run at Monaco in an area where you're just going to put it all out for one time and have a good time with it. It's definitely glad that you were able to join me for this one. Definitely would have been a lot lonelier if I was running this by myself for the entire event. So a big thanks for you joining me, and a thanks to all you do for the main run Twitch channel, letting me host it here on the main channel. This is the Xbox's debut on the main channel.
It is, and hopefully we'll get events from all the platforms and all the divisions onto this main channel and give them the airtime that they deserve at some point. And obviously a massive thanks to you for joining us on those streams all throughout the season, and for the work you do on the Xbox side of things with the post-race commentary and the editing that you do for all the POVs and all the broadcast cams and stuff that get put together to try and produce something that everyone can look back on after a good race and think, wow, it's really cool that someone was, it was being recorded in this way. And I think that's what we sort of strive for when we make these things, is to give the drivers the feeling that you would want yourself as a racer when you look at yourself racing on the TV and you think, wow, that's cool. And that's the sort of thing I think we're all aiming for. And that can be you as well. If you fancy joining and getting involved in the league, go and sign up.
Yeah, you can see it on screen, our F1 Racing League. That's the place to go for that. And on that same kind of vein, Flip has done a great job over the course of the season as well with the the race threads each week, the kind of little introductions and little blurbs he puts up, giving his experience from the editorial side of the official Formula 1 subreddit, bringing that little bit, and just kind of as a driver, it makes it feel a little more, I won't say legitimate, but makes it more serious in a way. It's genuine.
Yeah.
You feel like you are taking part in a proper racing event, and there's broadcasters talking about you, and there's little blurbs written about your championship battles during the race. It brings an extra level of enjoyment, especially over racing people online and just kind of popping into pub events, having a league like this where you can build a rivalry with somebody over the course of an entire season and learn about your other drivers. It's just a completely different kind of fun experience to have, and we're definitely definitely looking to bring more people into that. And if that's something that sounds like fun for you, we're always welcome to have more. The bigger the community gets, the better.
Indeed. Said it better myself.
But with that, I think it is a good time for us to sign off. I did get word from AWD Turbo Guy real quick that it is Daytona in stock cars. So I think Daytona 500 type race will be their fourth race of their quadruple crown. So two ovals.
Is that in Forza?
I think it'll be in Project Cars.
Damn. You guys got to hit me up when you're doing Forza races now that I know it's cross-platform.
Absolutely. Yep. But thank you for all who joined in the chat. Thank you to AW Turbo Guy for dropping all those subs. That was huge. Thank you very much. Thank you for AWD and Kem joining us on the stream there, and we will catch you guys next time.
See ya.